our project was working with Bethesda Green, and they're based out of Bethesda, very local. Today we're going to walk you through the background of our project and the background of Bethesda Green, the objectives of our project for the semester, our deliverables, and then also end with some takeaways from what we learned throughout the semester. A little bit of background from Bethesda Green, their company. Their vision is to make a positive difference for the environment, and they do this by promoting a strong local economy that supports green business initiatives, and they really try to bring together local businesses with the residents and also with the government and create programs that bring everybody together to educate them and provide them with a sustainable business, a sustainable economy, plan for the economy that brings everybody together. So whether it be through business practices or just being a resident and having good practices or working with the government programs. Their mission, so just like I said, business, government, and the community together through programs and services to promote a healthy economy and sustainable living practices. The objectives for our project, we were first tasked with creating 2 databases. The first one to develop a list of local green businesses, so businesses that really met their own personal mission because they wanted to see what the market looked like for greater outreach in Bethesda and the Montgomery County area. And then the second one was for a database of green business funding options because they got a grant with the Montgomery County government to hold some financing workshops, so they wanted to see what their outreach could be to local funding options. And then lastly, based on that research and some other background with marketing from the University of Maryland's business program, we also put together a marketing strategy to help them with their funding workshops is our main objective, but we actually realized when we got into that they needed to take a step back and have a marketing strategy for their company overall because they were doing some marketing things and they had the basics going, but we realized that their basics could be enhanced a little bit overall to help their overall company strategy, and then they could apply what we put together for that overall strategy to actually apply it to their local workshops.
So I worked on the green business database component of this project. I used multiple sources to build the database. Some of it was Bethesda Green's own internal information that they had. I attended Green Fest, which was held at the convention center down here, and Bethesda Green had a table there and I actually went there and identified some local businesses in the community. One thing that Bethesda Green wants to do is they actually want to expand beyond just Bethesda and Montgomery County. They actually want to work in Arlington, work in Alexandria, work in Prince George's County, so they actually want to expand. So I was able to look at organizations in a lot of different areas, not just Bethesda, because there are not that many green businesses in Bethesda. It's a very tiny community. They sent me a database called Jenny, and I basically called that and took out businesses that no longer exist. The green business community actually has a lot of turnover in it, and you find that a lot of companies sort of fall by the wayside, reinvent themselves 2 years later when technology changes or their mission changes, and so I basically just cleaned up that list and then rolled it into Bethesda Greens. And then I just did my own, research. Went to Founding Farmers for dinner one night, and they advertised all the local farms that they work with. And some of these farms are sustainable, some of them have a green focus. So I added that to the database as well. Going forward, I think it's important that Bethesda Green, within the database itself, expand the database and include categories of types of businesses and classifications. So they can easily, when they're looking through this database, filter it and just pull out the nonprofits, just pull out the government agencies, just pull out the local corporations, and also categories that we think will be really helpful as well. So if they run an activity that speaks to energy and specifically solar energy, they're not advertising it to someone who sells barbecue sauce, because they probably will not get those people at that event. They recently ran an event for green gift wrapping ideas. You probably wouldn't want to advertise that to your green business population. You probably want to advertise that to your local resident population and that type of thing. So classifications and categories within this database will really help, and they're going to have to spend a little time on the front end, really going through and identifying this stuff. But they said that they will bring in, local high school interns, local college interns, in order to build this out. once we turn over the database to them is they'll need to add it to their current internal database, which is really just done by people. So they're going to need to then attach those people to businesses and work on it that way. And if they truly have then maybe they need to take people that don't have businesses and also create a resident database at the same time. They'll need to complete data fields. We're turning over sort of a skeleton of a database. They'll need to go through and add addresses, phone numbers, that type of thing. That wasn't really within the scope of our limited 40-hour project. That would have taken me probably 300 hours just to do that. So, and then they'll sort of need to look over the categorization that I did on the handful of businesses that I looked at.
Okay, so I worked on the funding database, and basically they were looking for funding options for companies that were like themselves and the businesses that they have in their incubator to help provide funding options for local green businesses. So this isn't just solar tech or green buildings and things like this. They were really looking for funding options for businesses that at their core promote green jobs, promote green business practices. So I started out this search by just doing internet searches for funding options, and I got to a certain point, found some options, found different funding in terms of bank loans that they could use. Some other ones included venture capital in the area. Crowdsourcing was another big one that they were interested in, some of that newer funding that's been coming about. There was limited availability in terms of my search, but I did get to a certain point that I felt good about it, and then I reached out to other people in the area, so local experts, Dingman Center, and also some professors here at the Smith School to help out with that search. So it's a decent database, but it definitely could use some filling out going forward. So next we moved into creating a marketing strategy. So based on the work that we had done with the green businesses, and like I said before, when we were doing our own research on Bethesda Green and their mission, we realized it was taking us by ourselves to find a long time to find information on their website and different things like that. So we took a step back and really started to try to understand what their markets were, their mission, and really go through an integrated marketing communication plan for them to go forward, that they can kind of put their existing business plan into this strategy that would really help them overall. So we started out understanding their markets, which their three markets, like I mentioned earlier, is the local businesses, government, and residents, and then how that overlaps with their mission of promoting healthy economy, sustainable living, and reducing the impact on the environment. And really, the big thing that's different for them in terms of their unique selling proposition is the fact that they have all of these educational opportunities and programs that bring people together. So in terms of, this is an example of a model for an integrated marketing communications plan. Take somebody through the hierarchy of effects when you actually have a consumer that you're trying to reach out to. It goes through 3 stages: the cognitive stage, affective stage, and behavioral stage, and there's a bunch of steps in between that. We realized that Bethesda Green's consumers are already pretty far in the cognitive stage. They're aware of Bethesda Green. Bethesda Green has these databases with tons of people, tons of outreach. They have tons of media contacts, but they still need to increase attendance, participation, and their outreach, and they want to have a bigger impact. They've had a great success to this point inside Montgomery County, but if they want this greater outreach, they're going to have to start moving people from this knowledge area more into preferring Bethesda Green over other green initiatives, and then actually giving people the conviction to actually do something about it and attend their events. So that's what we tried to work on through the rest of our strategy.
Sure. Jump in, obviously. So the fourth M, right? The fourth M is media. And so we broke it down into 3 different types, and this is media as far as plural of medium, not media. So one thing they need to do is better utilize their social media. And that right now they use Facebook, Twitter, Meetup, and LinkedIn. They also have a blog. They probably need to expand into things like Pinterest. They also need to better utilize what they already have and what they already do. They also do a lot of email marketing because they devote $0 to marketing activities. So it's all guerrilla marketing. It's all just them trying to get the word out of themselves. They do a lot of email marketing. They send out a monthly newsletter and then 2 to 3 additional event blasts to their list. They say that they've got a database of about 6,500 email addresses, but probably only 1,500 to 2,000 of them are good leads, and we're not sure sort of the validity of even that number. So we've made suggestions as to how to better market themselves via their email blasts. And then also their experiential and event marketing. They go to a lot of events, they host a lot of events, and it's how to better communicate what they do, what they're there for, with how they can help people in the community at those events. As I said before, the fifth step is money, and they currently allocate $0 for marketing activities. We're actually going to suggest that they start allocating a small amount every year in order to, when they go to an event and they have to set up a booth, that booth screens Bethesda Green, there's a big banner, there's a lot of brand salience there, so that they can then promote that into brand resonance at some point. So we're going to suggest that they allocate a small amount of materials. We also, just promotional items, like particularly that are accepted and embraced by the green community, like tote bags and water bottles and that type of thing. This is not the kind of thing that they'll hand out at events, but if they give it as honoraria, and they give it as, a monthly drawing for new email subscribers, that type of thing, they'll be able to get their brand out there. We're also going to suggest that they consider instituting a small attendance fee for certain events, particularly ones that have either high setup costs or there's takeaway items. This way they're not covering that all themselves. They also should leverage they have tons of partnerships with local businesses. Honest Tea is a corporate sponsor of theirs. Capital One, they get free business space with Capital One. They really need to leverage those partnerships. They've got 18 incubator companies. They need to leverage those partnerships. And they work hand in hand with the government as a nonprofit, and they really need to build upon those relationships. We're going to suggest that they hire interns and reach out to the local, either university community or high school community in order to help them. They can find a marketing intern, I'm sure, from Maryland, either undergrad or even graduate, who I'm sure is willing to help them. They can, have high schoolers help them, send out these email blasts, cultivate this database of contacts and that type of thing. They also, they told us last week that we're actually still actively working on this project. We are probably a week or so away from actually presenting it to them, because we're still getting new information from them, which is always a challenge when you get information from clients towards the end. But they say that they host or sponsor or co-sponsor 50 plus events per year, which is a lot for a pretty tiny nonprofit. So we're actually going to suggest that they really look at the number of events that they promote, how long it took to promote, what they did to do it. For example, I mentioned the green gift wrapping event. They had 6 attendees. If they spend any more than about 15 minutes of marketing on that, that may not have been the world's best use of their limited resources and their limited time in order to do that. Maybe they need to roll that into bigger events and that type of thing. So we're going to actually suggest that they look at the number of events they do and really only promote the ones that get good attendance. Something that's really important as they go forward is they need to develop benchmarks. When we're sitting down talking about their marketing strategy, we got, and this is a direct quote, "We're not really sure what works and what doesn't, and why it works and why it doesn't. We just sort of try everything." So we're going to suggest that they actually sit down and set some goals for them. Say, hey, at the second marketing or the second finance workshop that we have, we want to get 35 attendees. We want 15 of those to be people that have never even heard of Bethesda Green. At the third, workshop, we want to have 40 attendees. We want to get 5 additional people. That type of thing. They need to really sit down and sort of set goals for themselves. They should also utilize surveys to poll, the local community, the local business community, and figure out how they can better. I'm working on talking about again, how they can better respond to those needs. They should also use Google Analytics to analyze their own social media, websites, that type of thing, to see what's working and what's not. For the finance workshops, we laid out a whole specific strategy for how they can better get the information about the finance workshops out there. They've already had one of these. It's 5 workshops and a funding seminar. They've already had one of these. They got 20 people, which they thought was good, but they have to have 75 total at these events in order to fulfill their contract and requirements from Montgomery County. So we come up with a whole list of things that they need to really do. Because these are great things. I mean, they are literally seminars for small businesses and entrepreneurs, particularly with the green focus. in order to learn how to better create, better create a business, market a business, and succeed. So there should be people knocking down the doors to get it. The big takeaways that we have with them is that they need to better engage the markets that they speak to, whether it's government, local residents, or local businesses. It's really relationship marketing as well. They say that they've got about somewhere between 100 and 150 media contacts. When they have events, they send out press releases and that type of thing. Problem is, I'm sure NBC4 gets about 1 million press releases like that a day. If they don't know who Bethesda Green is, that's not going to have any sort of resonance. So, as I just said, they really need to set goals and benchmarks and sort of work off of that. And I think they'll be a little bit more successful if they have that, and then measure that the effectiveness of whether or not they reach those goals. And I've talked as quickly as I can.